Hello and welcome to this ETS Apps Webinar. So my name is Christophe Partoens and so obviously the presenter of this webinar. So first of all I'll start with the agenda. So first I will explain what an ETS app actually is. Then I will give a complete overview about of the apps that we offer. We have actually two categories here, so the ones offered by KNX Association and the ones offered by KNX members. And then I will, so after this overview, I will give you an ETS, I will present some of these ETS apps to you. Okay, so what is an ETS app? Well, short of course, that might be obvious for most of you, I guess. App is of course something that we already know since the very first smartphones. It is actually a piece of software, let's say, that extends the functionality of such a device, a smartphone or a tablet. And we also use this same concept for ETS. So that means we have a standard ETS with standard functionality, but we can extend the functionality of this ETS with an ETS app. And that's actually what an ETS app is. Okay. Good. The overview then. So I will start with the ETS apps that are offered by KNX Association. So here they are. So we have iPlip IP, device editor, device reader, replace unreg, to replace unregistered products. So it's a very specific app for manufacturers actually. But okay, let's continue with the overview. Training center tool, so obviously specifically for training centers. Extended copy, labels, long-term recorder, my product templates, online KNX product catalog. And so as you can see in red, so is that means that are the apps that I will present today. So in this case or on this page, so I will present later on the labels app. And here on this slide 3 more apps will be presented. So project compare, project tracing. There's also replace product, which I will not present, and split and merge. Then the apps offered by KNX members. Move and group will be presented to you. Terminal app, export for IP project, bus update, protocol analyzer, EI import, EI doc, EI plan, which I will present also. NetX BMS, gamma converter, address by ID, KNX2S7 export, visualizer server, check and improve, fill visualization dummy, function test, which I will present, project data exchange, reconstruction, and shift addresses. So okay, let's start with the actual presentation of the apps, and which is the first one will be split and merge. Split and merge, well, the use case is for people to work together on a project at the same time. So the procedure is to split the project into several parts and then to process these project's parts separately on separate PCs by different people. When everything is then ready, we just everything can be merged back into the original project, right? A project part as such, so once it is split off, so to say, from the original project, it cannot be split again. Each project part always contains the entire project information, but it is only the actual assigned part that can be processed by the person who it has been given to. Or maybe in order for a better understanding for you, let's say a more graphical explanation or visual explanation. So here we see on the slide the original ETS project. Just imagine that we want to split up in 3 parts, so 3 colleagues want to work on it independently. So I call it project part A, B and C, and please note the red color. So A, B and C is in red. That means I can on this very PC edit those parts because it's in red. From the moment I split such project and give it to a colleague, so like in this case, so example given colleague John, I give to him project part A. You can see that on the original project A is not, well, it's gray now, so it means I cannot process, I cannot edit anymore. But John of course can. John, however, also has part B and C, but as read only. And the same counts, or the same goes for example given colleague Hazel. She wants to work, or she will work on part B, has A and C as read only. And then here Stephen, another colleague, has A and B as read only, but C as well, has his let's say assigned project part where he can work on. Okay, so that's the situation now. So John, Hazel, Stephen are working on their parts. I cannot work on anything anymore because I have forwarded all these parts to my colleagues. Then, when example given Hazel has finished her job, she gives me back her part B, so to say. That means from that moment onwards, for her B is no longer, well, she cannot longer edit it, but after import, of course, I can then edit B, project part B again. And the same is of course for John giving me part A and Stephen giving me part C. And that's then the second step, of course, merge. Okay, next app then, labels. So the labels, the functionality that this app offers is to print individual addresses on labels. So typically, stickers indeed. So what is the use case? So just imagine that you have the ETS project in ETS ready, and so the project is ready, and you have also commissioned all devices. So they know their configuration, so to say. So the next step indeed would be to mount the devices physically into the installation. The problem, however, is that a lot of devices can look very similar. So typically BCUs, so the devices that you mount into the wall, so to say, they look of course very similar. Or actuators that are installed in cabinets, same example, they all look very similar. So how to distinguish them? Well, that could be done with these labels or with these stickers. On top of it, it's not only it cannot only be used or just used for the individual addresses, but you could even add a small installation hint. So typically, could be like a location within the building. Left door kitchen I have put here as an example on the slide. So that's actually the purpose of this, let's say, labels app. Reconstruction. So the reconstruction app. So what is the situation here? So when is this app useful to us? Well, that is a situation where a KNX installation needs to be updated, but for which the ETS project is not available anymore. That could be because of several reasons. The original, let's say, installer doesn't want to give it, has gone bankrupt, or the backup server is crashed, so there's no backup anymore, etc. Any reason that can be there in order to, for which we end up in this situation. So okay, we have the reconstruction app in order to help us then. So, but first, let me explain the prerequisite here on the slide. So in order to be successful with this app, you need to have the catalog information of all the ETS products that are within the ETS, the KNX installation. I'll explain in the next slide why this is, so it will be clear. And for the rest, I just want to, on this slide, just to indeed point out that there are, of course, some limitations with this app. So information that is not reconstructed, that is building and function structures and all kinds of descriptions that you could add in the ETS project, like example given for group addresses. Why is this not reconstructed? Well, because of the simple reason that this information is not put into the memory of the devices. That's the only reason. And also be careful with plug-in devices, because they are not supported by the standard functionality of this app, unless the manufacturer has offered a reconstruction plug-in. Then in that case you could use it for this product, of course. Okay, what is the concept? So here we have this unknown KNX installation. So it's a cloud, it's completely unknown, a black box you could also call it maybe. So what do we want to do? We want to reconstruct it. So the first step is to reconstruct its topology. So the reconstruction app will just get the individual address of each device that is within the installation. So it's a scan function that will be used. This will then give us the topology structure, and in a second step we can use these individual addresses to make so-called point-to-point connections with each individual device, and that we will do indeed, or the app better said, of course, will do that in order to get the application program per device. Once we have the application program, we can go further into the, let's say, the structure of the device into its functionality, because of the app, because of the application program, we can indeed find that information. Because the application program, each application program of each product in KNX that exists within KNX Association, so to say, is certified, and there's a unique identifier for each certified product. And that's how the app also can indeed retrieve via this identifier the further information for this product. Further information means group objects and group addresses, and that's of course what we need eventually in order to find the functionality of each device and how they are linked together, of course. So all by all, we will end up with an ETS project because of the 3 steps. So virtually this is what happened. So we indeed converted the complete unknown installation into a file. Project compare. Well, I intentionally present this app right after the previous one, because here in this app also the reconstruction functionality will be used, but for a different use case. So what are the use cases? In this case, well, the use cases are to give an answer to, let's say, 2 questions. The first question, has the installation been modified? So here we have suspected modifications, but these modifications are not intended. So we want to check that maybe someone has been tampering with the installation. That's what we want to find out. Or the other way around, or the second use case. So it's to find the answer to the question: has the installation not been modified yet? Here we have modifications which are intended, and we just want to make sure that they are also that they are done. So an example could be indeed security-related quality control. Because example given, we want to make sure that the latest firmware has been uploaded into the devices that have a security role, so to say, in the KNX installation. So how does the app work? Well, it works in 2 steps. Step 1 is to reconstruct the installation. So it will convert it into an ETS project. So remember, indeed, the previous app that I presented. And then in step 2, it will compare this reconstructed installation with the formally accepted ETS project. So you have actually two files that will be compared. One is just the result of the reconstruction functionality, and one is the project that has been formally accepted by the customer. So we have 2 versions: reconstructed installation, formally accepted ETS project. We compare them. and then we will get indeed with this app a detailed list with differences, if there are any, of course. But in each entry we will find and we will get an overview of all the differences, of all the details, so to say. Okay, replace product. Well, what is the use case here? The use case is a situation where a device in the KNX installation is defective, but which is not longer on the market. So indeed, the very first KNX installations already exist now since 25 years. So indeed, it could happen that a device is defective. But the nice aspect, that's the word I was looking for, is that this is not a problem as such, because KNX installation is and always will be backwards compatible, right? So that means, okay, the device 20 years old, okay, it's maybe defective, but we can replace it by something that is on the market right now. That is of course as such not the issue here. The issue is that replacing a product in the ETS project is a bit cumbersome, or can be cumbersome, especially when there are a lot of parameters, group objects and group addresses are involved. So a lot of things could go wrong, also the flags of the communication object, etc. All these settings, there are many settings, that's actually the point, and it's a lot of work in order to get everything in order again. So that means without the app, indeed, such work is quite cumbersome and even risky in some situations. So with the app, it's much easier, because that's the functionality of the app. So it will indeed allow you to make such replacement very easy. So in fact, what it will do is it will allow you to get the configuration of the defective product in the ETS project, and then to transfer this information into the replacement product. And all this, of course, works manufacturer independent. So even if the product that is to be replaced is from manufacturer A, you replace it by something from manufacturer B, that is not an issue. Also, well, that's actually another detail that I want to point out. Actually, two details. This app even works fine for most of the plug-in devices, because it focuses on objects, and therefore it can also be used even for most of the plug-in devices. Also, the prerequisite is for you to understand is that there shall always be the same functionality type, of course. So even if the product is let's say the defective product is in 4-fold binary output, so as I put here on the slide, and you want to replace it by an 8-fold binary output, this is fully okay. You just replace the 4 outputs that are used, and then you have 4 outputs that are not used yet. That's the only let's say that's the only not, well, I cannot even call it a problem, but that is then just the situation that you have. So it's even not a problem. So it's actually just to focus on the functionality type. So binary output shall be replaced by binary output, but 4-fold, 8-fold doesn't matter. Okay, function test. So function test. Well, without the app, the functions of a KNX installation are typically tested with group monitor. Also, there's no specific report that gives us an overview of the status, let's say, of the functions that are realized within a KNX installation. With the app, we will have a list of function tests, and such list can be created automatically. A visual environment has been foreseen in order to do the tests, and also the results of all these tests are offered in a report, which can also be printed. Extra feature to be pointed out here is that there is a possibility to control this app via iOS or Android. So you can have indeed a mobile device, a smartphone or a tablet, and via a wireless connection you can then control the app. So what is the use case actually? So it's indeed a kind of automated project approval, and it's an app actually that you typically use on site with your customer. So you just take your customer and you go around the building, go around the KNX installation and test together with him while he's watching what you are doing and approving what you are doing. You make also this report then. Yeah, so that's the function test app. Address by ID, by identifier. I see now that this was not indicated in red in the beginning, I think. But okay, anyway. So this is an extra app that I will present to you. Well, the interesting thing here is that, yeah, okay, let me just maybe start with the use case maybe. So the use case is to of this app is to set individual addresses for hidden and for inaccessible devices. So typically devices that are installed in ceilings, in closed cabinets, or even in other buildings. Without this app, it is sometimes even simply impossible to set the individual address via programming mode, because the programming button, in order to put the device in programming mode, is just not reachable. You cannot reach it. It's not physically reachable. So what you can do with this app is to, or in such case, if there is really a device that you cannot reach, well, just read out its serial number and set the individual address via the serial number. So that's actually the functionality of this app. So again, it's to read out the serial. So it's to actually set up the individual address via a serial number. So that means you need to first to read out the serial number, of course. But you can do that with standard ETS functionality, and then you can use this app, which has the specific functionality of setting the individual address via this serial number. Then, okay, what you need to know also, at least I think, with this app is that it is manufacturer independent. It is well, that's at least a very convenient, I think. So it's not just limited to one manufacturer. You can use it for any manufacturer. However, it's not for BCU1 devices or System 1 devices, so the first generation of KNX devices. But from, let's say, the second generation onwards, you can use this app. And also, on top of it, it's maybe even, it only makes it better, I think, it's also free of charge. EI plan then. So what is this actually? EI plan, well, first of all, is the abbreviation for electro installation plan. So it is an app that, well, there's a specific concept behind this. So the concept is that an ETS project is conceived as being, or can be seen, maybe that's a better way to explain it, can be seen as a collection of floor plans, in which each floor plan is a graphical environment inside ETS. So a graphical environment, that's actually the key word here. Each floor plan contains additional EI plan specific data. So that means, okay, we have this, let's say the standard ETS data, but we have additional data here. So EI plan specific. Inside the floor, so what needs to be done is to, well, use the graphical environment, of course, and to define the rooms and cabinets of each floor. And then when this is done, to place within the rooms, within the cabinets, to place and to connect the devices. The app also comes with predefined group addresses, so you don't need to create them yourself. And you even have the choice between two so-called schemes, scheme A and B, where A is based on just functions, which can be used for smaller projects. If there's a bigger project, then rather use scheme B, because here the group addresses are based on the combination of floors and functions. Okay, So that was the EI plan. So next app is move and group. Okay, sorry, there's a mistake in the slides, in the order of the slides. I see now. I was also a bit confused myself. So okay, so this is EI plan, and here we see the screenshot of EI plan. So sorry for the order of the slides. I will correct it afterwards. Okay, so here we see indeed EI plan. Indeed, it's clearly a graphical environment in order to create a floor of the KNX installation of the KNX project. Then next app, so sorry again for the wrong order here, move and group. And here we then see the details of move and group. So here we have a bit different concept. The ETS project is now actually a collection of device and zone templates. So in the previous app it was a collection of floor plans. Here it's a collection of device and zone templates. Also the way you work with this app is a bit different. It's a bit different approach, but what they have in common is the graphical environment, and that's actually the point I wanted to make here. So we have two apps actually that offer you, let's say, a graphical environment in order to create an ETS project. So what is the work that needs to be done here? Well, that's to create device and zone templates. So so that's let's say the first part of the job here. And for this job, well, this definitely needs to be done by someone that has KNX knowledge, right? So it should be indeed someone that followed, well, in best case, certified training, and such person is perfectly able to create the device and zone templates that are required for this app. Okay, if this is done, then another person, or the same person of course, can then continue with the rest of the job, but typically would be that it will be done indeed by another person, because this second person, if I can say so, well, this second person, the one that takes over, so to say, does not need to be or does not need to have the KNX knowledge. Right, so that could be an interesting aspect in order to, for your consideration, let's say, in order to buy this app. Okay, so anyway, what does this person need to do? Well, the person just needs to, the person needs to place the device and zones within the project, and in this step the actual ETS project will be created. Also, this will be done in a graphical environment, and again I want to just point it out again, for the device and zone template device and zone template placement, you don't need KNX knowledge. Okay, now here also the slides in order to give you the screenshot. So also here, obviously, indeed, a graphical environment, clearly, in order to design, in order to set up, construct an ETS project. Okay, so that was actually my last slide of the actual topic. So there are still some follow-up webinars that we can recommend, but as such the webinar is now finished. And before I conclude the webinar, I want to still present a few extra slides, and while doing that I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for your attention, for considering KNX, and maybe we see one another in one of my future webinars. So thanks again, goodbye.